Come on, let's chat. Let's talk about the hard truths about being a first generation law student or lawyer told by a first generation lawyer. If you're a first gen like me, no one ever really warned you about navigating law school alone. I never expected the journey to become a lawyer to feel so isolating. If you're going to law school and you're not one of the lucky ones who got to go to law school in their home state, then most likely you're moving and it's somewhere that's probably not close to home. I am a DMV girly, but yet I went to law school in Chicago, the Midwest, and I felt so alone. I had no family, I had no friends, zero connections when I moved to that state. Moving to a new city is hard, y'all. And then going to class with people you don't know, it's tough. It's tough to build that trust, especially when you hear horror stories about people stealing people's outlines and, law school is ruthless and people are going to step on people's toes to make it ahead. And because I was moving to a new state where I knew no one, I didn't want to take the risk of getting a roommate. I decided I'd rather live alone in my 1-bedroom apartment and just try to figure it out. And now looking back on that was isolating in itself. I just had my guards up. I trusted no one. Them walls were up, okay? And yes, eventually I did make friends with my classmates, but sometimes you want to turn to family when you're feeling low or discouraged or disappointed or angry while you're navigating this new journey of becoming a lawyer. And when you're first gen and you're trying to explain the challenges of law school, to be honest, my family sometimes just didn't understand. They were just like, well, you're in law school. Man, that's good in itself. I remember specifically, I was so irritated that I got mostly B's my first semester of law school. And I told my parents that, and they're like, wow, you did great. That's amazing. Great job. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. I'm at a T14. A B is not a good grade. That's not going to help me with OCI. But they are not in the same world as me. So just being a first gen is just kind of hard to just navigate your emotions, and you are feeling stressed and overwhelmed. Family will always be there, but just for them to really understand and grasp what I was going through, it's hard. Another hard truth about being a first gen is that you will experience imposter syndrome. I hate to say it, but it's pretty severe. Despite working my butt off to get into law school and I actually achieving that goal, for some reason I kept thinking I was a fraud and that I did not belong here. And that's something that first gens really struggle with, feeling accepted, feeling like they are called for this purpose, especially when no one before you has tread the path that you are treading. It's really tough trying to figure out this new identity, this new law student identity, this new lawyer identity, right? This is nothing you've experienced before. This is nothing you witnessed up close in person. Maybe you've seen lawyer shows, but to me, all the lawyer shows are just, it don't compare to actually going to law school, right? At least when I got to law school, I noticed that a lot of my friends, they had lawyers in their families, or maybe they had close family friends who were lawyers, which gave them the opportunity to talk legal jargon freely, maybe at the dinner table, maybe to discuss little cases now and then that happened at work. I never got to experience that. And the most I've seen was on TV, a case from Law and Order, which I honestly just started watching that show. Don't kill me. On top of that, when you are a minority, imposter syndrome just starts to get even raised high, because I'm like, oh man, at least for me, I went to an HBCU and maybe my education wasn't good enough as someone who went to a PWI. Those thoughts cross your mind so often. And I'm just gonna stop it here and say that you did not get to where you were on a fluke, okay? Getting into law school is challenging. The last time I saw stats, I believe it was saying 40% of people who apply to law school get in. So that's no fluke, okay? You worked your butt off, you're meant to be. All right, moving on to the next hard truth about being first gen. I will always say that job opportunities are not that simple for a first gen. And I live by a quote that I once heard on the infamous ATL, which says, it's not always about what you know, but who you know. Job opportunities for my classmates were easier because they knew someone. They could call Aunt Sally. Aunt Sally could recommend her niece or nephew to work at this firm. Like, there's just connections and it's easier. One thing I learned in this profession is people will hire their friends. And when you don't have those connections in advance, as a first gen, you are working so hard to be seen. You have to really advocate for yourself because you don't have anyone else to advocate for you. Most of my free time in law school, if I wasn't studying my butt off, guess where I was? I was networking. I was networking, trying to build those connections, trying to keep having people see my face. I was attending conferences. I was attending happy hours. I was going to all the school events, just trying to increase my chances of getting a good job. Heck, securing a job. I did not want to be unemployed when I graduated. And you know what? My networking paid off. That's literally how I've gotten every single job after I graduated. All my entertainment law jobs, networking. But networking is uncomfortable. It is cringe. And I wish I didn't have to do so much as a first gen, but I did. And I totally forgot that being a first gen, I didn't even know what jobs existed, what jobs were out there, what jobs to even ask for, because everything was so new to me. I didn't know big law versus public interest. I didn't know about in-house roles, government roles. Like, I knew none of that. I had to figure that out by having these networking chats. Okay, moving on to the next thing. As a first gen, I feel like there were just so many unknown prerequisites. I didn't know how serious to take these standardized testing. Looking back on it, I should have gotten a tutor for my LSAT to increase my LSAT score and my scholarship money. I should have got a tutor for the bar because I didn't realize that people had tutors to increase their chances of passing the bar on the first time. Heck, I didn't even know that students were taking certain courses in law school that were tested on the bar exam. I took none of those courses. When I was studying for the bar exam, I was learning from scratch because no one told me. There's also unknown social norms that, first gen students are just not aware of. And now you're probably wondering, what are those unknown social norms, right? I mean, it could be something small as your appearance on like how you present yourself, what you wear, what you don't wear. Or it could be something as like you're on an interview for a job and, you're ordering food and there's certain things you should order. There's certain things you shouldn't order. Then don't get me started on office politics and culture, okay? Like, there's just a lot of things that first gens have to really struggle through and try to navigate on their own. And then lastly, I just want to cover hidden costs and financial hardships as a first gen. Whew. Okay. According to the law school survey of student engagement, first gens will bear a higher student loan debt compared to their peers. First gens are twice as likely as their non-first generation lawyer peers to graduate with over $130,000 in debt. And if you're wondering why, let me tell you what this source says. They said that this is more likely because first gens tend to come more from lower income families. And I also just want to say that this doesn't necessarily mean that you're dirt poor. My family is middle class and me and my brother still have to end up paying over $100K in student loan debt. Like, my parents don't have the money to pay off my debt and my brother's debt. Like, hello. I knew plenty of students who had their parents paying for their tuition, right? Or maybe they had the opportunity to go to a good school based on what their neighborhood was in, and they had the better education, which then put them in that place of, getting more scholarship money. Like, more opportunities were handed to them because of the higher income status. Some other factors that may contribute to the debt disparity is that first gens may lack the financial literacy. They may have difficulty understanding student loans. They may have the difficulty understanding financial aid forms. And I know this video is just sharing the hard truths only, and I really didn't say anything too positive, but I'm gonna end it on a positive note. And that note is that, yes, there are disadvantages of being first gen, but there are so many first gens who have succeeded and become the best lawyers out there. And I didn't think I was gonna make it. And right now, I am working at an entertainment company that I absolutely love. So it is possible to overcome, but I just feel like I had to be transparent and let you know to prepare your mental state for those hardships because it is what it is. And honestly, just label yourself as superhuman right now because once you overcome and get to your goal of becoming a lawyer, then you can do anything, baby. All right, that's all I have today. Talk to you guys later.